Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite recipes. It's called cheeseburger casserole. And when you see the recipe on the website, you'll see that cheese is in quotes because seriously, this is always going to be dairy free. And the cheese is actually from this. This is nutritional yeast. I've talked about this before. And it gives things a really nice cheesy nutty flavor without being cheese. It's kind of flaky, and I'll tell you a little trick. It's gotten to really get popular lately, and it used to be you could only get this in the health and beauty department or the supplements department of a natural grocery store. Well, lately I've been seeing at Whole Foods that there's a small can, not even, this is 12 ounces because the stuff is so light, it's a huge can. But there's a small can, maybe 4 ounces in the baking section, and this large can in the supplement section. So make sure you know where to shop when you're looking for these unique ingredients, okay? The first thing I'm doing today is I sauteed some bacon, and now in the leftover bacon fat, I'm gonna add a half a pound of ground beef. And you can see, this is the package. I buy it like this, and I split it. This is a 1 pound package. I'm just gonna put half a pound of the beef, and then I'm gonna add a half a pound of ground bison. And I like to mix them up. The bison is very lean and it's really delicious. It just gives you another kind of nutrient besides just beef. So I already cooked the bacon, and I'm just using that rendered bacon fat to brown this beef and bison. You can go straight beef if you want. You can go straight bison. The recipe actually calls for 2 pounds. What I did today is I split it in half. I'm making 2 smaller casseroles. One's already in the oven so you can see it when it's finished. And this one I'm going to show you step by step. You already know how to cook bacon, so I didn't have to show you that part. So we're going to get this browned, and it's off to a good start. I like to keep sort of chopping it and cutting through it so that it yields nice, small, fine particles as it browns. I'm gonna let that go for a second, maybe bump the heat up a touch, and always season. And when you layer your seasonings, you never ever cook them out. So this is basically a layered casserole. It's got the beef, the meat at the bottom, and then on top is a mashed potato that has seasonings and cheeses, nutritional yeast. So that's where it gets the cheese name from. Who am I seeing here today? Hi everybody, Sandra Garcia, get out. Hi Messina. How's everybody? Thanks for joining me. This has been so much fun cooking for you every week and sharing some of my paleo recipes. And you know, cooking is so simple. You can take any one of these recipes, and if you decide you want to add the cheese, go ahead and add the cheese. If you want to try something a little different, it's up to you. Cooking isn't an exact science. There's some fundamentals that we need to stick with, but you know, if you like oregano better than basil, go ahead and switch it up. I like to do meals that are packed with nutrients and give you the healthiest, least processed options available. That's why I've cleaned up so many of my old recipes using things like coconut milk, nutritional yeast, keeping it non-dairy, keeping it legume and grain-free. And there's so many great options, and these things are really available for you now to buy in almost any grocery store. So I say give it a try, and your family might never know the difference. Okay, I'm gonna grab the potatoes while this is browning. I'm gonna just slide this out of the way a little bit. and move my food processor here so you can see what I'm gonna do with this potato topping while the meat's browning. I'm gonna grab the potatoes, I'll be right back. So this is a white sweet potato or a Hannah potato. You can see it's enormous. I like to buy these really big ones. This is about a pound. I'm recommending about 1.5 pounds potato, and that's really all you need to top one of these. If you want it to be like really super thick, go ahead and cook 2 potatoes. So all I did was cube it up, peel it, cube it up, and boiled it, and it drained off the water, and now I'm gonna add this cooked potato, you can see it's nice and soft, to the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a mixer, you can use a, I haven't really tried it in a blender, but you could use a stand mixer, you could use a hand mixer. I like to show you in my food processor. Grab the lid, just gonna put this on and pulse it a little bit. Of course, I'm doing it backwards, so there we go. So I'm just trying to break these down so they're a little smoother. Give this meat another stir. That's coming along really nicely. And I got my induction burner working again. If you tuned in last week and you saw my total fail. Now we're back on track. If you don't know what an induction burner is, it's actually a magnetic cooking process. So rather than being thermal like most stoves, gas or electric, the pans have to be magnetic in order to make a connection with the unit, the burner. And then as soon as you remove it, the burner is typically cooled off right away. And they're just really handy. You saw me kind of slide it out of the way. It's a one of those things that you can use, like if you're a professional and you're cooking on a buffet line or something like that. So rather than going back and forth to the stove, I like to have it here on the counter. Okay, so these potatoes are getting a little mashed up. I'm going to add, oh, by the way, thank you to my cousin Barb who recommended these lids for my little ramekins that I use for my prep. These are awesome. Amazon, of course. So I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and this is avocado oil mayonnaise, so we're not using any of those polyunsaturated fat mayonnaises or the seed oils or the manufactured oils. Avocado oil is a cold pressed oil. You make mayonnaise with it. It's absolutely delicious and has all the nutrients, and the flavor's basically the same. And then I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of coconut milk, right out of the can, organic coconut milk, full fat. We love our healthy fats when we're cooking paleo. I'm just gonna put the lid back on, give that another quick spin. So what we're going for here is something that's gonna taste just like a cheeseburger when you serve it. This is starting to get nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna add the nutritional yeast, about 1/2 cup. And this is just a little bit of granulated garlic and onion powder. And you're not going to believe the cheesy flavor this has. And that looks done. Give it another scrape. If you are using a food processor and you're using a rubber spatula, I always recommend don't get the blade stuck in the spatula. It's been known to happen. These are nice and thick. They're gonna spread like frosting on top of that meat mixture. And that's done. Nice and thick. You can serve this as a side dish. I mean, why not? We'll get that out of the way. I'm gonna pull this back over so you can see how this meat is progressing. And yes, I'm using the same spatula. There's no cross-contamination because it's all going in the oven. We're gonna put the whole casserole in the oven, get it nice and bubbly. And this meat is just where I want it. So now I'm gonna add the onion. You can do this either way. You can start with the onion and then add the ground beef if you want it to have a little milder flavor, or if you want it to taste like a burger with the onion right on top, then go ahead and add the onion and don't let it cook as long. Or you can caramelize the onions. There's all sorts of flexibility with this recipe, and you can take it to wherever you think your family will like the flavor profile. Again, I did divide this in half, but don't forget, if you're serving a big family, make it all in one casserole dish. If it's just you and your spouse or your partner and you want to make enough for a couple of days, divide it into 2 casseroles or 2 smaller baking dishes and put one in the freezer. Then when you're ready to serve it, you can just bake it. And you can see already these onions are starting to get translucent. It doesn't take long. So now to give it that really good hamburger flavor, I have 1 cup of ketchup and a little bit of Dijon mustard. And I just mix them together first. These are both the New Primal brand. I'm an ambassador for New Primal. Everything they make is delicious, and it's no added sugar. And this smells like your favorite cheeseburger diner already. And you can see how simple this is. I mean, this is done. We're just making sure that all of the ketchup and mustard are mixed in really well. If you feel like you have a lot of extra fat from the meat cooking, then go ahead and pour it out before you add the flavorings. But really, if you're cooking with the bison, you're not gonna have that residual rendered out fat like you do with regular ground beef. And the ground beef that I had was 15% beef, 85% beef, 15% fat. Okay, that looks just right, just right. So I have a small casserole dish. As I said, I do have another casserole dish in the oven to show you what it looks like finished. And this is an avocado oil spray, again, staying away from those polyunsaturated fats. Comes in a can, no aerosol, so just kind of a spritz sort of thing. And that just helps put the little bit of barrier between the pan and the food. And I'm just gonna spoon this in to the casserole dish, just like that, and spread it around. So I'm just gonna make a nice smooth layer. And now I'll grab the other spatula. You could use the same spatula, but just to keep it pretty, I'm gonna use this one to put the potatoes on top. And here's a fun fact. You know how that blade always comes tumbling out of the food processor when you take it off of the base? See that little hole in the bottom? That's where the blade is connected. Stick your finger in there and grip it on the side with your thumb. And now the blade isn't going anywhere. And I'm just gonna scoop out these potatoes right from the food processor into the center. Make a big pile right in the center. Don't try and spread it yet. This is the trick. It's just like icing a cake. I'm gonna get all these potatoes out. Oh, it smells so good. And again, these Hannah sweet potatoes are my preferred potato, but if you want to use Yukon potatoes, I just like something that has a little more body. Now I'm just spreading this over the top so that it completely covers the meat. Turn it around. Okay? Don't miss a bit of it. Wash my hands real quick. Now this is gonna go into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. I'm looking for the top of the potato to get a nice little bit of crustiness and get the meat warm and bubbly. You might see a little bit of meat juices kind of bubbling around the edges. That's when you know it's done, 15, 20 minutes max. And I'll be right back with the other one. you can see how quick this is. Doesn't that look delicious? Just enough golden on the top of that casserole to give it a beautiful color and set those potatoes. And that bacon we cooked at the beginning is a topping. We're just gonna sprinkle some of these chopped up bacon bits right on the top. Don't buy bacon bits already done in a can, shelf stable. That's terrible stuff. What do they have to do to bacon so that you don't have to refrigerate it? Are you kidding me? Do me a favor, buy food that's grown on plants, not made in plants. Gonna finish it off with some green onion. Just gonna go through these real quick. I like the white and green parts, and it really gives it that nice burger flavor. And that's that. Doesn't that look yummy? And you can see I showed you the whole thing start to finish. I had a few things measured out at the beginning. The only other thing I did first was cook the potatoes, which took about maybe 15, 20 minutes, and cook the bacon, which took maybe 10 minutes. So I might have, if you did those both at the same time, in fact, in the recipe, I even recommend go ahead and start the bacon and then get the potatoes boiling so they're done around the same time. And then it's just assembling and you're done. This is done in a half an hour at the most. I haven't even been with you for 20 minutes. I'm just gonna scoop some out so you can see it in a dish. And if you go on my website, you'll see it looking pretty much like this. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this recipe today. I'm about 12 days in, actually I am 12 days in with my Whole30 group this time for August. They're doing an awesome job. I hope that this inspires not just my Whole30 group, but anyone watching to give this recipe a try. You can find it on my website, livingdeliciousnutrish.com. Tune in every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm always here, and I hope to see you again. Thanks for joining me.